Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. We're live. How you doing? How you doing, Andy?
I'm all right. Sorry, man. I'm just giggling at the boom sound effect that you added.
I thought we've got no budgets for George Lucas style sort of like sounds and effects. So I just thought I'm like the human beatbox. So I thought I'd try that. So, I'm
Cool.
actually on holiday, annual leave at the moment, so I thought I'd have some beer. We're not sponsored by them, just in case. We should be, but just in case we're not.
Foster's are not sponsoring us, by the way.
No, just in case.
All right, cool, man. Okay. Hi, TheoCons. Welcome to Theory Conspiracy. It's Wednesday, the 2nd of September, 2020. If you've not tuned in before, this is Carlos and I'm Andy. And with our mutual friend Nick, we host a fortnightly audio podcast. This is our spin-off live stream show. If anyone in the chat room wants to chip in with any opinions, views, you're more than welcome to. Comment on absolutely anything. Especially pull us up on anything you think we're saying, or if you've just got anything that comes to your mind and you want to ask us, you're more than welcome, and we'll try our best to answer it. This time, we're going to talk about the Hitler test that I mentioned last week. A couple of days ago. Yeah, Sunday. Diana, Nerve Agents, Rogan. A question for the chat room. 3rd of September, and Andy's film review. So Carlos is going to keep an eye on the chat. It doesn't seem to work my end, so I've abandoned it. Yes, on Sunday, Carlos, when we were out and about, I mentioned I didn't have the exact quote in front of me, but I did a true or false test on you, didn't I? Something that was reported on Snopes, and you actually guessed that this was true. But what the exact thing I wanted to ask you was, is this an extract from Hitler's psychological profile? So, quote starts, so in each and every field, Hitler believes himself to be an unquestioned authority. End quote. That was basically what it was saying, and the reason I quoted that is because apparently people have likened that to Donald Trump, basically.
A lot of people are doing that, aren't they? It's sort of like, in terms of like the way he is as a person, like a germaphobe. Hitler was a germaphobe. He was obsessed with cleanliness. I think he used to wash his hands 5 times a day, bathe 3 or 4 times a day. So yeah, I think, and obviously Donald Trump's the same, an obsession. So people are trying to fuse these things together, but it's just a coincidence, that's all.
Yeah. Sorry, let me just have a quick look at the audio, because I was getting a touch of feedback then from you. But you have to let us know in the chat if there's anything wrong. Looks like your channel's coming through a bit on my channel. So in the same article, I bullet pointed these actually. So these were Hitler's primary rules, they say. So he never allowed the public to cool off, never admit a fault or wrong, never concede that there may be some good in your enemy, never leave room for alternatives, never accept blame, concentrate on one enemy at a time, and blame him for everything that goes wrong, and people will believe a big lie sooner than a little lie. And if you repeat it frequently enough, people will sooner or later believe it anyway. That was they were basically all his little philosophies.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it's true, yeah. Especially the lie. Keep it simple, keep it small, keep repeating it, and the people will believe it.
Yeah.
Just had a message from Bobby Shafter. Evening, gentlemen. So I'll just reply back. So evening, Bobby Shafter.
Cool. Bobby's one reliable viewer. That's cool. Hi, Bobby. Cool. Yeah, we were just reviewing what I was saying the other night. So.
Yeah. You obviously, the questions you pulled me up. Yeah, he did create a sort of like a joy division. Well, not him personally. The division of the army for the soldiers to enjoy themselves, and also to Heinrich Himmler was used to encourage all his soldiers to breed with especially Scandinavian women, Norwegian, Swedish, and so forth. Because the old blonde-haired, blue-eyed kind of Aryan race. But yeah, so that's why I just thought, no, he wouldn't have done the old
sex doll thing,
sex dolls and stuff. I would have just done the
that
full
was
thing.
That was false, wasn't it? I asked you about that. Cool. So next one was Diana, Carlos.
Yeah, it's just
Princess Diana. That is, I assume.
Princess Diana. Yeah, it's just because it was. I was just looking at some of like history books and stuff like that, and the events what changed the course of history. And I remember it was just the. I forgot to mention it on the live stream. It was Diana. I think it's 31st of August. It was the 23rd anniversary of Diana. Depends on what you want to say. Killed, died, assassinated. Fill in the blanks basically. And that event changed the course of history because there was loads of conspiracy about her, obviously not awakening, not keeping her children away from the sort of the monarch, her not integrating with the high society people, changing, helping the poor, being the lady of the people and stuff like that. So, and the rumors, obviously, it is rumors and conspiracies and stuff like that. But I find it quite interesting. People like Mohammed Fayed spent hundreds of millions finding the truth because he said, I think he said that his son Dodi was about to have a child with Princess Diana, and I don't know how that would have gone on or how that would have gone down amongst the monarch and the high-ranking elite people in England, United Kingdom, if the English rose had a Muslim baby or something. So that's what people were saying. Is that the reason why she was taken out, or was it for other reasons, or is it just one huge coincidence? A drunken bodyguard or driver, smashed into the pillars and stuff like that. Well, do you remember where you were when you heard that news coming through?
To be honest, yeah, I do. I was at school. Well, I wasn't at school. I was physically at the age of being at school, and I used to have a clock radio that used to wake me up. And it's always when you're a teenager, it's always really hard to get up in it. So I used to set my alarm for about half an hour before I wanted to get up, and I would just hit snooze about 3 times. But obviously, as the radio came on, it must have told me, or I must have heard a couple of words about the breaking news of the night before that Diana had died. So this would have been the 1st of September. And then subconsciously I had a dream about it. So then when I woke up and it was repeated on the radio, because literally it was on every 10 minutes they were talking about it.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and I literally went, that's weird, I've just dreamt about Diana's death. And I thought, it was really weird, because I thought, I've just dreamt about that. But then I realised, actually no, I must have just heard a few words that made me dream about it as I drifted back off to sleep. So that's, so I was in the, just literally as I woke up to go to school. And then, I was going to say something else about it as well.
So do you think it was like some kind of conspiracy or?
Yeah, well, that was it. So I remember a couple of weeks before it happened. So during the summer holidays, I remember all these paparazzi were on a yacht, and all these paparazzi were going around in speedboats, and I think they were just fed up a bit. So she just came over to them, and I can't remember all the details of what she said, but she just said to the press, and I remember saying this to my dad. She said to the press, "I'm going to shock the world. I'm going to shock the world." So obviously, if she was pregnant, I mean, was it confirmed she was pregnant? Was it confirmed?
Mohammed Al Fayed said that.
Right, but there's no.
It's not. No one knows scientifically or biologically was she pregnant.
Right.
But, Mohammed Al Fayed said she was.
So if that was true, and she was, and that was the secret that she meant, because I remember saying to me dad, oh my God, Diana's dead, and she literally said the other day, I'm going to shock the world, and my dad, I just remember my dad turning around to me, I don't think she meant she was going to get killed, Andrew, sort of thing. Because I thought literally, she's doing an Elvis Presley. Everyone, spotted Elvis in the Tesco the other week. He's still alive, sort of thing. I thought that was sort of going on, and that was a shock to the world. But no, it makes sense that that just backs up what he came out to say. I vividly remember that, saying that, and mentioning that to my dad when that night when the news was on.
Yeah, because Bobby Shafter's just mentioned in the chat. I remember it being a Saturday, going to Sunday night, a Sunday morning. That's how I remember it, because I was DJing that night, and I think I got in at daft o'clock, say 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just put my records down, and I was just shattered. I just put my records down, just put the TV on, and it was just breaking news coming through.
Right.
So it's just breaking news coming through. It's just like everybody. I remember all the news presenters wearing black, black shirts, black ties, black everything. Obviously in obviously honor of Diana, but yeah, I remember it just like Bobby Shafter just remember it in the chats. I come in at
Maybe I didn't go to school then, but I definitely remember it being on the radio. I don't know why I'd have my radio alarm clock set on a Sunday. But yeah,
it's probably what you just said, like the Mandela effect. It's like what we spoke about Mandela. So it's like how you remember it. It's like
in my universe, it was on the Monday morning. in your universe, it was on a Saturday night.
Well, it's because I always remember, because I was with a couple of my mates. We went back to my house or something, because I was shattered. So I said, let's go back to ours, let's party at ours. And so I remember just so me and Bobby's universe clearly interlinked or something. But yeah, it's just. But going back to the conspiracy, it's a bold statement, because obviously it drove Mohammed Fayed crazy. Obviously he had the owner of Harrods, the owner of Fulham Football Club and stuff like that. So it drove him mad. He spent tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, just looking for the reason behind it. And he started. Obviously, a father who's lost his son or daughter is clearly a person who is in pain and will say a lot of crazy stuff. So that's the thing. What the thing what people were questioning, would it have made a difference if she had a baby to an Englishman or to an Irishman or a Scotsman? A lot of people just saying, because obviously he was obviously of a Muslim background, could that have been the reason behind it? That's where I don't know if that's the reason, or if that's a reason to be killed or something.
To me, I personally don't. Well, you don't know how people think, but to me, that wouldn't have made any difference. I think the fact that, she was rebelling was enough. I mean, what was she taken out? Was it not just a terrible accident? I mean, the paparazzi were just getting worse, worse and worse and worse. The more famous you were, the worse they are, and because of that, and because of other events, all these rules and things have come in now. Where, I mean, I'm quite surprised that they gave the boys a break when they said, oh, let them go off to university and live their life and leave them alone.
Yeah, they come to some agreement, didn't they?
Yeah.
But here's another interesting one. Obviously, after she passed, do you remember who her butler was? Paul Burrell. I think he did the celebrity Get Me Out of Here Jungle things, and
yeah.
And do you remember he was tried for stealing a lot of Diana's personal items? He says, "No, Diana, give me this personally."
Yeah.
Remember, he went to the Old Bailey, and he was going to be tried. Do you remember why he wasn't tried? What happened?
No, I remember part of his court proceedings, and I think he mentioned it on I'm a Celeb as well. He mentioned one of these diaries or something she'd give him for safekeeping.
Safekeepings.
And he had to, the court magistrate or whatever made him drive all the way back up to Cheshire where he was living at the time, get it, and come back to court with it the next day.
But do you know why the case was thrown out? What happened? What was the key reason for it?
No, I don't know. Go on.
The Queen walked into the courtroom and dismissed it.
Is that true?
That's true. The Queen walked in and dismissed it. The Queen is above the law. So maybe he had information.
How is that not on?
Exactly. Why isn't it on? It's part of our history books.
Right.
I remember watching it and reading it.
I'm gonna look into that.
So that's the Queen went in and dismissed it all.
All right. Did you read this in the same paper as that scientist guy you were telling me about? And you're misremembering it all.
Seriously, that's what happened. That's what happened. And that's not, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what happened.
All right, okay. Right, someone in the
You won't,
chat, someone
you
in the
won't,
chat room can Google that, man.
you won't Google it. You won't be able to Google it because it'll be just. You might have to go to the
The,
dark web.
because the Queen will have taken the website down with her hacking skills.
No, but you can take information down.
So,
Do you remember when Nick provided information when we spoke about 9/11, and you couldn't find any of that information on the Google? He got that from friends and stuff like that. Do you remember? It's just, and that's because things can get removed from Google. Things do get removed.
Yeah.
But no, that's it. Obviously, you don't remember. But yeah, it's amazing how not many people remember that she walked into the. I'm going to say the Old Bailey, but I can't remember the Old Bailey, and went in and dismissed the case. She's the only person in the United Kingdom that can do that. The only person.
All right. Well,
she's above the law. She's above the law.
I've got a number in my phone book, so if I'm ever in trouble, I'll ring her. So, do you not remember there was a gag going round? My brother sent me this number, and he said, and it basically was in a text message. He said, I'm in a meeting, but I need you to phone me quick. My phone's about to die. Will you call Liz on this number? So I'm thinking, oh, he wants me for something. Okay, so I dial this number. And you get this answer phone message saying, "This is the such and such desk at Buckingham Palace," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" Hang the phone up. Yeah. So that number went right. It was a genuine number. So I literally had it in my phone for a while, saying the Queen. I don't know if it still works. I'm talking 20 years ago now.
Oh, so before mobile phones were more accessible and stuff like that.
Yeah. He sent it me on a text message, but.
Bobby Shafter just says, "Does the Queen have the authority in America? If so, Ghislaine Maxwell needs a number." Yes, you're probably right, Bobby. Yeah, you are right. She probably does. Obviously, we touched on that the Epstein on the last episode, and it's getting a lot of traction. A lot of people have been getting in touch with us on that. I've been sent lots of sort of private messages and stuff like that. I think a lot of people send me private but don't want to put it publicly. It's like they're scared. There's nothing wrong with putting things publicly. If you feel uncomfortable, send it to us and I'll put it on for you. But yeah, it's amazing how many people send us stuff privately but not. Or just, oh, this is my opinion on such and such a thing. And then will you put it on for me? And yeah, I'll always put it on for you. I don't want to take credit for your work. That's the only thing.
That's cool.
But no, it's the Ghislaine Maxwell. That obviously, I'm not saying that ties in, but it'll be her father, Robert Maxwell, would have had a lot of information on the royals, especially being based in the United Kingdom. What's the so that's we'll have to touch up on that again. So what's the next subject then, Andy?
Yeah, nerve agents, man. So literally today, and well, I think it was an hour old when I decided to add it to the list. So it's now about 3 hours old. I think it's older. This is just when it was posted on the BBC website. But do you remember those that couple? That not a couple. That bloke and his daughter.
In Salisbury.
In Salisbury, were poisoned with a Novichok nerve agent.
Yes.
Well, that guy, Alexei Navalny, Navalny, spelt naval NY, Navalny. But Alexei, he was running against Putin, wasn't he? And then they dug up some sort of. He says they've dug up some sort of criminal reason why he can't run against Putin's party for election. But basically, the Angela Merkel has come out saying that he was when he fell ill last week. They've looked, and rushed to hospital. They said they've worked out that he was poisoned by a Novichok nerve agent, and therefore could only have been done on President Putin's orders, basically. So
you must have some rogue people though. Like I understand when people say it has to be on president's orders, but you do get rogue people within governments. It's like I bet you there's people who do not listen to Boris Johnson or say, for example, Donald Trump, and do things without their know-how or interpret, or maybe they just interpret what they might want to do.
Yeah.
So obviously, things like being poisoned, it does sound very old school Cold War, very Soviet Union, very Russian, because they've perfected the art of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
There's
what
well,
go on.
so yeah, well, there's he thinks it was while he was in the airport, and there's a footage of him drinking a cup of tea at the airport, and he think that's where it was. He fell ill as he boarded the plane, or as he was on the plane, had to be taken off his plane, and there was a guy. There was another former Russian diplomat or something or whatever, and he also was poisoned in a cup of tea, basically. So there's a couple of examples. I mean, I've only made a note of the 2018 one, where that was a former Russian spy, Sergei, and his daughter. But yeah, there was a couple of others. Then there was the plutonium guy. That was in 2006. He was poisoned with plutonium. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
He was a spy as well. But a couple of them have lived, and in fact, there's a couple in Germany as well that have both got really high levels of mercury in the system, 50 times more than normal. The pair of them. So someone's
one's defaced, isn't he? He's got a lot of his colour and his skin's all crunched up and stuff like that. So
yeah
I think that's what you might be talking about.
yeah
But this style of killing people has been around for years. It's sort of like the best way of killing people because you leave no evidence, do you?
over the nerve agents.
Yeah, but that could be anyone though.
Yeah.
It could be anyone. Like
Well,
very, very Russian, Soviet Union esque.
we'll have to wait and see if there's another couple of KGB agents visiting Stonehenge or whatever Germany's equivalent of Stonehenge is.
It's like if you talk about nerve agents, if we just obviously I know you've asked me a couple of questions on sort of like World War II. The gas, the nerve agent, they use the gas to unfortunately kill all those horrible 6 million people in the concentration camps and stuff like that. That was called Zyklon B, and you just drown in that, and that must have been difficult, sort of like knowing that when you put in some gas chambers. And how Zyklon B came about just killing rats, vermin in sort of like factories and warehouses, and it went on to the next stage. And that was invented by a Austrian Jew as well, who created it's the gas agent called Zyklon B, and that was used to kill all the people in the concentration camps. So you're basically just drowning on yourself. So that's talking on nerve agents and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's nasty stuff, man. Nasty stuff. I mean, they must have suspected something because there were shots of him being taken into the ambulance off the plane, and he was in he was on like a stretcher, but the stretcher had some sort of like perspex dome over the top of it. So, it's a bit weird that they're equipped with that straight away, and because going back to that 2008 case, I know those two survived, didn't they, Sergey and his daughter, but an English woman died because she was.
They were an English couple, weren't they?
No, they were. He was a Russian spy, and it was his daughter. But an English woman got infected with it because she was in close contact with him. So surprised there's not other people ill on that plane. They're saying that if he drunk it in his tea, rather than expose him to it on the plane, then any exposure would have been around his brew. And I imagine someone swiped that cup away after he'd drunk it and disposed of any evidence, didn't they? But anyway, talking of... sorry, say again, mate.
Watch that space then, as they say.
Yeah, let's see what happens. We'll probably come back to it if any more news comes out in a couple of weeks. Talking of conspiracies, you were proper onto Spotify and Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Basically, I'll come about it because obviously Joe Rogan moved over to Spotify on the 1st of September, and lots of people were people who were sort of like towards the alt-right, people who spoke against XYZ. A lot of their podcasts were uploaded, especially people like the daughter of Jordan Peterson. Is it Michaela Peterson? I think it's Michaela Peterson. People like Milo, people like Alex Jones. Their podcasts have not been sort of uploaded onto Spotify, but so a lot of people, the internet went crazy. It says basically, if you have an opinion which is anti sort of, if you speak against BLM or against transgender or against this or against the Democrat Party, everybody's just being silenced. And that's what a lot of people. It just blew up, especially Twitter, and obviously Instagram was blowing up yesterday. And now I don't know if people have sort of crumbled to the pressure of a lot. Talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people were tagging Spotify into it. So I don't know if Spotify didn't want to be seen as some kind of liberal left silencing the right kind of thing. But now they've just uploaded a lot of these people's podcast onto Spotify, but they've not updated any of the Alex Jones. So I don't know if Alex Jones is permanently banned forever on everything. But yeah, that's the thing, because a lot of people are saying that Joe Rogan's probably selling out now. He's got his, it depends on which paper you believe, is either 100 million or to 200 billion over 4 years. So has he sold himself to the devil? That's what people were saying. Yeah. I don't think Joe Rogan would have known that. I think it might have been some kind of glitch. But to add to our glitch, our podcast is only 11 minutes, but it should be 40 plus minutes on that one on Spotify.
Yeah, our latest episode, the one about Epstein, will only stream on Spotify. So if you want to get the full download of that, go to one of the other podcast providers. Link in the bio, link in the show notes. There's links there to our other providers, iTunes.
Yeah, I was bombarding you with all that information. You were sort of like, you and Nick would go, what's going on here? It's just like, for 2 days I was just following everything.
Yeah, we had a couple of listeners mention it, didn't we? About and flag it up on Facebook. Yeah, about that. So also, so talking about Rogan then. First of all, just tell the chat that you were so excited. You thought you were onto a conspiracy last night when half of Joe Rogan's podcasts were missing and stuff like that. But yeah, that was quite funny.
I said, I've cracked it.
Yeah, you were quite excited. But yeah, so Rogan, you listened to. Did you listen to it all in the end? The full 4.5 hours?
5.5 hours, yes.
Oh, 5.5 hours.
5.5 hours, yes. It was.
Talking about wasting your holiday.
Yeah, because I was just because it's clearly 5.5 hours, and he specifically chose that person to sort of launch the podcast.
Who was it? Who was he talking to?
Duncan Trussell. He's a fellow comedian, and obviously he's got his own podcast. But he must be a person who's Joe Rogan looks up to, because he says he needs him in his sort of orbit. Because probably Joe Rogan's probably got all these people in his sort of gravitational pull. He can only trust. Are they trusting him for? So are these people his friends because of the money he has, or the kind of pulling power, or he can make people nobodies into somebodies overnight? So he probably struggles to trust so many people. But the people like Duncan Trussell sort of, I've known him when he was a nobody, and he sort of like keeps him grounded. And that's Joe Rogan was very humble when he was talking to Duncan Trussell. He says, "I need you in my life." He even said it on live. It says, "Even if I bought you a house in Texas, sincerely, would you move? I'll buy you a house, move over there." You know what I mean? Not like just like a banter. Is
that where Rogan lives, Texas?
He's moved to Texas. Yeah, a lot of people saying he's moved to Texas. Well, what Joe Rogan says is because LA's become some kind of cesspool now. You know, people, the homelessness, the way the place is run now, the crime rate. Other people says because taxes are going to go through the roof now. I think you're going to get taxed 55%. So 55% of 100 million is a big tax deduction, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it depends on who you want to believe and stuff like that. But yeah, he's moved to Texas now, Houston, I think it is.
Well, obviously, I reckon he's ploughed a few million into this tax deductible out of his like a new what's he got? He's got a new recording studio and all that.
Yeah, but I don't think he's used it yet.
Doesn't need to. It's just tax deductible.
Yeah, true. Just builds it and doesn't use it. So probably that's easy for some.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the thing on the Joe Rogan thing. So I thought I was onto something, but it's still a few people who have not been uploaded. So I don't think they're getting uploaded.
You were saying how he was bigging up Alex Jones as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on the podcast because it was a podcast. He talked about everything from simulation to coronavirus to politics, and obviously, I think it was about 40 odd minutes into it. He starts talking about Alex Jones, how Alex Jones could sometimes talk a lot of stuff he gets wrong. I mean, really wrong, and he's apologised for it. He's got him in a lot of trouble, but he says Alex Jones was one of the first people to out Epstein and this island, and everybody was saying, "What celebrities and high-ranking XYZ go to this fuck island and paedophilia rings and stuff?" I goes, "No, you full of shit. It doesn't exist." He goes, so apparently Alex Jones infiltrated him and brought all the news back, and that's how. But a lot of people go, "Fucking, this was ages ago." Apparently, Alex Jones was one of the first people to out this out.
Well, like you say, a broken clock's right twice a day, innit?
Yeah, but he can't keep saying it because he's been right more than twice. It's been more right more
Yeah,
than
but
twice.
he's been spouting crap for more than 2 days, hasn't he?
But no, but the thing is, if you got that much information, sometimes I know it's hard to do with Alex Jones. You sometimes he'll give you that much information that you sometimes have to filter it. I understand you can.
But what's the point in having to filter rubbish out? And you said right at the top that he's admitted that he was wrong on a lot of stuff, and it's got him into trouble.
He's apologised for it. He's apologised.
I know. So I personally would not listen to someone who's just spouting any old crap, just nonsense.
The thing is, if he's got that much information, and because just think, he wakes up in the morning, he's got his inbox full, his phone's full, and all these people with like whistleblowers or people, I work for such and such a company, I work for such and such a political party. This is what's actually going on. What do you think? And he does his probably due diligence, but sometimes he probably misses certain bits out, and that's the bit what gets him in trouble and stuff like that. But if you've got all this information, what do you do with it? Do you either keep it silent and don't talk about it, or you talk about what the ones you think could be viable or the ones that has legs on it? It's a bit like Bill Gates. I've heard this, I don't know if it's true or not. Bill Gates hires 4 people to cleanse his emails every day. Apparently, he's got 4 million emails he has to cleanse every day out of his inbox. 4 million emails. He's got a team of 4 people cleansing emails every day.
You just wouldn't bother, would you? You just wouldn't have any. You just wouldn't. But, I don't know. It's like David Icke. I put him in the same category, man. It's
a philosopher.
No. They basically they've worked out that they can get a following and they can make money from this stuff, so they will literally tout anything, regardless of whether they believe it's right or wrong. And I imagine he believes most of his stuff is right, but I also imagine that he will just say stuff for the media attention that he knows he's wrong. And like you said, he's had to come out and apologise for some stuff. Because at the time it gets him followers, doesn't it? And it gets his name out there.
But the thing is, he's banned from every social platform, isn't it? I think the only way you can get him if you go to his personal website, a bit like David Icke.
A bit like Katie Hopkins.
Yeah, Katie Hopkins, she's been banned from more.
You know, you wouldn't put Katie Hopkins in the same bracket, would you?
No, she's a different kettle of fish. She's the one who's deliberately inciting something, whereas Alex Jones is sort of basically trying to sort of reveal the veil which is sheltering everybody. So he's just like he's trying to show you different things, whereas Katie Hopkins is telling you this is what you believe and this is how you believe it and this is what's wrong and that's because of the reason, because of that kind of stuff. Whereas Alex Jones will do that. He'll say this is what's happening and do you believe it, yes or no? This is what the government's behind and this is the agenda. It doesn't say believe it, just says if you want to believe it, believe it. If you don't, leave it alone, kind of thing.
Exactly. It sounds to me like I'm just saying this for the hell of it. I'm saying this for the dollars, not because of whatever. Anyway, we'll be here all day. So yeah, before I go on to the next one, I've got a question for the chat room. You can answer it as well, Carlos, but we'll ask it to the chat room and see what they say, and we'll have a go at answering it. So I'm gonna go for what's the weirdest food you've ever eaten? So have a think about that. Stick it in the chat room. Carlos will come back to it. It's you again, actually, Carlos. So 3rd of September. What's that today? No, it's tomorrow. Is it tomorrow?
The 3rd of September. What is it? It's obviously I always do Carlos's historical event of the day or historical day or whatever, what happened in history. Obviously, obviously we had that kind of World War II kind of theme going. So obviously, 1st of September, obviously Germany invade Poland. And Adolf Hitler said that was a defensive a attack. But obviously England or Great Britain and France did not believe that. And obviously the 3rd of September is when Great Britain and France signed a declaration of war on Germany, start initiating World War II.
Right.
So that tomorrow is the start of World War II.
But it'll be over by Christmas, though, won't it?
It'll be over by Christmas, yeah.
That's what they're all. That's what they all said, wasn't it?
that changed the course of history. The politics, technology, the way the ideology all stems from World War II. Like, I think Israel was created, after World War II. America became the superpower. England was bankrupt. England went from being an imperial to pretty much bankrupt because World War II bankrupts most of Europe. But America was not, apart from Pearl Harbor, America was untouched. Because all the infrastructure, all the manufacturing was wiped out in Europe. So where'd you get your manufacturing? You went to America. That's where it just blew up in America. America became the superpower.
Yeah.
Obviously, and that changed the course of history. And then you got the start of the end of World War II was the start of the Cold War between the Soviet Union and United States, and that we start something different there. But no, do you think? So I just thought that would be interesting. That tomorrow is the start of the day that changed our lives on this planet. Even if you don't look into it, it did. It changed us all. But do you ever look at stuff like what World War II did for us, or look that much into it, or even deep into it?
No, I've not looked deep into it. Not really. I mean, I realise the world wouldn't be the world if it wasn't for that. But I think there's a lot of other events that you could say the same for. World War One. Some of the things the Romans did, and all sorts of stuff. Changed the way the world is. Corona this year changed the way the world is, probably for forever, man. So yeah.
Especially for people who've got children the age of between 5 and 10, they'll remember this, that their lives have been completely disrupted and stuff like that. For people like you and I, we all remember this is not right, this is not normal. Because I was speaking to, like I said, a doctor, I won't mention his name, but he heads the COVID for the northwest of the United Kingdom. And he was sort of like said, this is going to be normal for the next 18 months to 2 years. And I jokingly said to him, "Where's your mask?" He goes, "I'm not wearing that." And I just went, "Wow, a guy who heads the coronavirus for the Northwest says I'm not wearing that." So I just thought, okay, sit back, watch, learn, observe. Oh, so what's your opinion on it? And he goes, well, and he starts going into it about it could be manipulated, and some of the figures what are coming on his desk have been sort of like they're not all correct, and doctors are manipulating figures to get more finances in or get more support in and stuff like that. So this, like you just mentioned, coronavirus will change the course of history within finance, within medicine, within banking, within work, within retail. Retail has completely been wiped out. If you look at all these high street shops now, they're just disappearing. I think I read a report about 8-9 months ago, it's probably out of date now, that Amazon is the 5th biggest retailer in the United Kingdom. They've not got a retail shop. That was 8-9 months ago. It's probably even 3rd or 4th now. I mean, that just shows the power.
Who on earth is above them then?
No, on high street retail.
All right.
So this is United Kingdom, so you probably got your Tesco's and stuff like that.
Right.
But it just shows how people are just sort of like during this pandemic, a lot of companies have gone under. I think Debenhams has gone into administration, but people like Amazon have just become more powerful. It's just they're changing the course of history, and it's just I'm a bit wary when certain groups, certain organizations have got all the power, like pretty much Disney, Facebook, and control most of the media. And you got people like all your news has gone through Twitter, Instagram, or even WhatsApp and stuff through the internet. But without this, but they're owned by only a few people, so they control everything. That's why a lot of these podcasts are now thinking about moving over to Spotify because censorship.
But you know, Spotify will just end up growing and being one of the same, won't it? I reckon.
Because they're not American, they're European, so they're not influenced by. But they probably are, but they're not influenced by the Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. But there's a question coming through. I can't even see that. What's that say?
No, I can't see the chat.
Was it the taste that turned out the same? Bobby, I don't even know what says that.
Bobby, say it again.
Can't we see it properly?
Let Bobby type it again.
It's come gobbledygook or something. Mine. X, Y, and Z, something like that on mine. It's coming through on mine.
Maybe you just sent him to sleep and he's just leant on his keyboard. And that was his head rolling on his keyboard.
It's got 2 or 3 X's on there. 2 or 3 X's. It's come like gobbledygook. It's something taste that turned out strange or something. I think it says it can work out.
Oh, is he talking about the question? The weirdest food he's ever eaten? All right. We'll try and read that in a bit. Well, send it again. Bobby, send it again. The weirdest food you've ever eaten.
Food. You're saying food.
Yeah. All right.
Well, there's a question you asked there.
Yeah, we'll come back to. I'll do my film review first.
Oh yeah, film.
I haven't got a film review. I did mention 3 2 days ago on our last live stream, but I will mention a couple of TV programs that I'm really happy are back on the TV. One is called Moonshiners. Can you guess what that's about?
I'm sure, like during the Prohibition America.
Yes, it is linked to that. So basically, it's about it follows a bunch of guys in like Virginia area type south of America, who basically go into the woods and make moonshine. I watched one program a couple of years ago, and I don't even know what season we're on now, season 3 or season 4, but it's just one of them where I can just stick it on and watch it. I just because I'm into my beer brewing. Not that I do much myself. I've made a couple of batches. I'm a whiskey
kind of guy, yeah.
Yeah. So I find it interesting, but don't know. It's just some nice little stories. It's one of them things you don't have to think about it. You just sit there and watch it. I do. That's like a little guilty pleasure watching that. Although I have a couple of things like that. I'll probably mention some of the others when they're back on the TV as well. So Moonshiners is back on. Mortimer and Whitehouse gone fishing. That's back on. Don't know if you've ever seen that. That's season 3. No. Not watched that. Yeah, Bob Mortimer of Vic and Bob fame, and Paul Whitehouse from the Fast Show. Paul Whitehouse has been a big fisherman all his life. They hardly catch anything. I've just watched the first 2 episodes of season 3.
Or just go around just pubs getting drunk, aren't they?
No, they don't go around pubs. They basically go and sit by a little meandering river somewhere and just talk about stuff. And I think in episode 1, they catch 1 fish each in the half an hour show. And sometimes on day 1 they won't catch any fish. So it's not about them catching the fish. It's just about the 2 comedians just sitting there. And a lot of the time I'm like, I would just love to do that. Go down to the river with your buddy, couple of beers. I mean, they don't sit there and have beers and everything, but sit there with a beer, fishing rod, and it doesn't matter if you don't catch out. You just there for.
The thing is, I've been fishing a couple of times, and the mates got stoned, and I just got pissed. And it's just, I think it's just an excuse for people to get stoned or pissed, really. So
yeah,
that's the thing. It's clearly depressed husbands and stuff like that, because we walk around there, it's just old middle-aged men just around there, stuff like that. You rarely see a woman on that site of it. But
no, that's true. That's true. I've never been to one of these proper like fishing
then what I
where
did
they're
is
stocked.
Sail Marina about 15 years ago. My mate said, "Oh, we'll just go camping or something." I said, "Oh, all right, fair enough. Go camping." It's like
They
just literally
they call the police on you. We tried to do that now. Sail Marina.
it's Sail Marina. Yeah, it's a crap. Apparently, there's a big 6-foot pike in there or something. So, but that's just, it's like the Loch Ness or something.
Oh,
But no,
yeah.
but talking of films, I was watching a film last night after the marathon 5.5 hour Joe Rogan, and the two films that come with suggestions was Kevin Spacey and Tom Hanks, and it's like with all the rumors and stories flying around about these two, it's affecting my watching them on TV. I don't know why. Do you think I'm being horrible, or do you think I just with all
No,
these rumors flying around?
you've got a really valid point there. I mean, there's some movies with Kevin Spacey in it. Can't remember the name off the top of my head, but the one where basically he's in a mental asylum because he keeps saying he's an alien, and it turns out he has got like alien powers, and he possibly might be an alien at the end of the film. I can't remember what it's called, but there's some films like that. And like you could say the same about Woody Allen. Woody Allen's done some absolute classics, and then basically you find out he's a borderline paedophile who
Yeah, because he married his stepdaughter, didn't
stepdaughter who was like
he?
literally
Adopted daughter,
just
whatever you
above
want
the
to call
age of consent or something.
Biologically, there's nothing wrong with it, but ethically, it's fucking wrong. You know what I mean?
The fact that he was like God knows how old, and she was like
Yeah.
literally just above the age of consent, like whatever the age of consent is. I can't remember what it was in America, but if it
I think it's always been
say it
18
was
years.
18, she was like 19 or something. But you know, I don't know. For me, a film is a film. I won't go and watch a film because of an actor. I mean, sometimes you will. You got a blockbuster with not with Tom Hanks, with Tom Cruise in it.
Yeah,
You pretty much know it's going to be all right. It's going to be watchable, like all the
yeah.
Mission Impossibles, if that's what you're into or whatever. And the same whether it's Marvel or whatever. But I'll go and watch unknowns as well, especially at the moment. There's no massive films out. The first film to come out was the one I mentioned the other day, was Tenet, and everyone's praising it as like it's a shot in the arm. What they mean, it's like a booster in the arm for cinemas, because it's getting people going back watching it. Because since the cinemas reopened 2 or 3 weeks ago, I've been on my own, and I've been with my daughter, and literally me and my daughter went and watched a couple of things, and literally it was just us in the cinema ourselves. We had the cinema to ourselves. They weren't making no money at all. There was hardly any trailers on, because people do. What's the point in putting trailers on, because your cinemas are going to be empty? So they weren't making any money from that either. So yeah, it's a bit weird at the moment. But yeah, I'll just go and watch a film and then make my mind up. I remember. Do you remember one of the Hulks came out? It was one of the early remakes, and it was the one with Eric Banner in it.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And people were coming out of the cinema, and they were being interviewed on TV, or Jonathan Ross or whatever. They're coming out of the cinema and they were going, "What did you think of that?" And he went, "Oh, I thought the monsters were a bit unrealistic." I went, "You're going watching a film based on a cartoon. What do you mean you thought it was unrealistic? What were you expecting?" So
Exactly.
I will just go. I don't look at any reviews, nothing. I just go. I'll watch the film. A lot of films do make me angry.
I know you don't like. I know you don't like Titanic and stuff, but just
Oh,
go back to the question Bobby Shaft asked,
go on.
because obviously Nick's just sent me a message. I think it was because obviously he said he may have been talking about mushrooms. So Bobby Shaft, because he said that the spelling might be wrong, that's why you can't see it properly. But it says Nick was saying Bobby had mushrooms. So if that's true, Bobby, just elaborate on it. So it wasn't the taste that turned out strange. So I'm assuming he's referring to mushrooms.
Oh, I see.
So
He'll have to.
If the spelling might be off, that's why it looks a bit looks different and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
he'll have to. Well, he probably has listened to our psychedelics episode, hasn't he, on the podcast?
Yeah, so that's the mushrooms. Yeah, I've mushrooms. Yeah, I've dabbled in mushrooms. I've done a bit of mushrooms.
Apart from psychedelics, then, Carlos, what's the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
I'm not. Do you know what? Believe it or not, consider my name is Carlos Garcia. I'm very, very English and British in my food: fish and chips, lasagna, pie and chips, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really eat. I've eaten like weird stuff like sort of like spaghetti bolognese sandwiches and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just grab spag bowl, put it on bread, and just put it in and just sort of like put it in the grill. Well, that's what most students do. Just grab a bit of everything.
That's basically like you get that on a meatball sub from Subway.
Yeah, it's the birth of a meat sub. No, I'm really very, very, very. I'll try anything, but what looks edible. I would never go to go to these places where Lebanese places where you got fucking like a lamb's head with fucking eyeballs on it and stuff like that. I would never do anything like that. Never do that.
So, what about octopus? Where do you stand on octopus? Whether it's fried squid from Wagamama's or
I eat all that, but I don't eat it as like the one thing I don't eat is an animal, what looks like an animal. So I am the biggest hypocrite in the world.
Yeah.
I eat meat, but if it looks like a rabbit, I won't eat the rabbit. You know what I mean? But if it's just chopped and
as long as it's disguised. I've had a rabbit at a pub not far from me. It was like a rabbit stew, and I didn't realise with a lot of rabbit dishes they leave a lot of the bones in because they're too fiddly and hard to get out, like the rib cage and everything. So you're eating this rabbit stew, and it's almost like you're eating a fish with bones, and like bone there, little bit of tiny little backbones in it and stuff like that. So yeah, I've had that. I'll give you a rundown of a few weird things. I've had ants covered in chocolate. I also convinced one of the Christmas do's I organised when I used to work at the place where I met Nick. I got 6 people up on the front, and I basically did a bush tucker trial. So I got a load of volunteers, and I can't remember what the prize was, but I got a load of people up to taste some weird foods, and because I was asking them to taste these weird foods, I ate them all before. I didn't not in front of them, but the day before or when we were buying them, I went, well, if I'm gonna ask other people to eat this, I'm gonna eat it myself. So there was ants. They were covered in chocolate. It wasn't too bad, but you still got like the leg stuck in your teeth. There was this octopus where it wasn't fried. It was like cold, but it still looked like you could still all see all the little suckers, and it's like white and purpley colour. It looked like an octopus leg. Mealworms, and then even more recently, as last year, I ate a scorpion. So yeah, it doesn't bother me. I've ate crickets and stuff like that. So I'd be all right. I'd be all right on the bush tucker trial.
I'd probably try it if I was hungry, but no, I don't. I'm very, very.
I didn't eat none of them because I was hungry.
It's like I'm very traditionally British in my food. Very like I'll look for the nearest chippy meat. Where's the chippy? Where's I was up for stuff like that.
Oh yeah, can't be.
What was the other question you asked me as well, or what to ask me? You said.
I don't think I didn't have another one, did I?
You said you had 2 or 3. You might have asked me.
Oh no, I'll save one of them for next time. I've got a few in the bank. I'll save one for each time we do an episode.
But no, it's just it's weird because with the going back to the sort of the previous podcast, it's sort of like the Epstein stuff. The one thing it's amazing how that now is become not Epstein, but that kind of filth is determined the presidential election, because a lot of people saying that Trump is draining the swamp, he's infiltrating these groups and disrupting them and that kind of stuff. So I think this kind of Jeffrey Epstein and obviously Ghislaine Maxwell is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and more of the truth is going to come out, because that's where a lot of people. Because if you look at especially Manchester and London, there's loads of these marches where there's tens and tens of thousands of people marching. It's like Pizzagate, leave our children alone, and all that kind of stuff. So I think this election might be based on that. I'm not saying that alone, but that could be a key winner amongst people.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of that kind of stuff coming through?
I saw there was a massive. I'm surprised we didn't see none of it when we were in Manchester on Monday. So this weekend just gone over the 3 days, there was apparently a lot of road closures and stuff due to a lot of marches and everything. I think on one of the days they coincided with a Black Lives Matter march as well, and sort of like, yeah, well, anything goes sort of these days. Let's just all, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, we'll back you if you back us, sort of thing. So that's cool. So
Bobby's just put a message in the group saying, "How about potted head?" So I don't know what that means. Potted head.
Oh, sounds like a Scottish thing to me.
That sounds like a Scottish thing. We'll have to our friend Nick.
I'd probably try that if it's anything like haggis.
I love haggis, mate. I fucking love it.
Do you know what? Pre-vegetarianism, it was my favourite as well. It was every time I visited my family in Scotland, I'd always make an excuse to either have it there or go out and have it somewhere. It was like, yeah.
Haggis is one of the things. If you tell people what's in it, they won't eat it. I remember when I first tried.
Same as black pudding.
Yeah, so when I first tried black pudding for the first time, and I said to this lady, it says, "What's in it?" She says, "First you try, then I'll tell you." I went, "Oh, all right then," like stupid. Hey, oh, that's nice. Oh, it's pig's blood. I went, it's weird. It's like, but haggis is sort of really nice. Haggis, really nice.
Yeah. They're even nicer if you can, actually catch one and keep it as a pet. So, yeah.
So, to Bobby Shafter is potted head. That sounds like something from Scotland. So, our friend Nick, our Scottish friend, Northern friend, I'm sure he could add to that. So,
I'm going to Google that.
What's that saying? That's it. Nick's probably can't do anything. He's probably been told off.
Probably. I had the same thing with black pudding.
You can have a white pudding, Andy.
Oh, can I have a white pudding? Why is there no blood in it?
Oh, white pudding, yes. That's it. I've never tried that. I'm assuming that's the same, just different.
I've not tried it. I've just not seen it. I'd try it. But I've not seen it. But I remember my mum tried to put me off black pudding. The same thing. She went, "Oh, it's made with blood. That's made with blood." I'm like, tastes fantastic. I'm not bothered. So, yeah. If it's classed as a food, I don't mind trying it. I'll try it. I'm not squeamish. If people actually eat it.
Because would you ever go stop being? You're not vegan, are you? You just eat plant-based food, aren't you?
Try to be a vegan, but it's difficult. But no, I'm still occasionally eating eggs. Still occasionally eating fish. Love fish food. Love seafood, I should say, not fish food. I've eaten fish food. Does that count? Actually flakes of fish the flakes that you feed your fish. Tropical fish.
Fish is classed as meat, and it's still a meat.
No, but I'm on about the fish food. I've no idea what it's made of. Probably not stuff good for you, but I've gone, licked my finger, dipped it in. The little flakes that you feed tropical fish.
Yeah.
Dipped it in and gone to see what it tastes like. I've tasted cat food.
Probably just mention vegetarian black pudding, so there must be a vegetarian one.
Yeah, well, I'll have to look out for that. There's a great vegetarian kebab alternative at the moment that's in Tesco. Do it. Morrison's do it. It's about £2.50 or £3, depending which one you go. I can't remember who make it. It's not Heck. Can't remember who make it. But it comes in a little tray. But you just just almost tastes like doner meat. It's because it's just the spices and stuff on it.
It's not doner meat. That's the problem. It's not doner meat.
It looks like it, and it's got the same texture.
I've just googled potted head. I think I pronounced it right. So I apologise if I didn't pronounce it properly, but it looks quite nice. Potted head. It looks really nice.
So what is it?
It's a referred to pork and cheese. It's obviously Scottish, and it's a head of beef, pork, or sheep, similar to potted.
I've had pork cheeks before.
But yeah, it looks really nice. So I'd say that's the kind of thing I would. It looks a bit like a pate as well. Potted
Nice.
hoff as well. I think I've pronounced that correct. Potted hoff as well. But yeah,
Cool.
just. Well, no, I'm sure. But yeah, that's apart from the mushrooms are probably the best one. Stick to mushrooms. That's better.
No, I won't mind. Cool, man.
Right?
Yeah, unless there's anything else in the chat, we've definitely run over the hour today, so we'll wrap up and save some content for when we're on. So we're back on Sunday. Yeah, we're back on Sunday. We're recording our next podcast a week today. It's going to be about moon conspiracies. If you've got any favourite moon conspiracies, let us know on social media. And we'll try and discuss it. I've got a few different moon type conspiracies to talk about, from the landings to hollow moons to whatever. Ping theory. Carlos, you'll probably bring that up again. So yeah, that's it. We're going to do that on the next audio podcast recording.
Which is next Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah, Wednesday. So you've got. In fact, if you want us to discuss any of that and you want to get your voice on the podcast, then go on our social media, send us a little audio message through the message app on Facebook or Instagram. You can send a little audio message. If you can't work out how to do that, send us a little video. You don't have to have a video pointed at yourself. I'm literally going to strip the audio from it, but we can use that. We'll play that out. We did that on one of our previous episodes. We've only ever had one submission, so we'll do that. Let us know. So Excellent. That's it. So yeah, that goodbye from you then, Carlos.
Yeah, goodbye from you, Sal. Goodbye,
yeah, everyone. Yeah. Stay safe. Peace, love, and Randy.